A few people have asked,
Something like that.
can we see the photographs? So this was an ideal opportunity.
Can we get
And
I
I also decided that it might as well be for a good cause. So when I went away, I didn't have a charity to put any money to, and I didn't bother trying to chase any sponsors. But since I've come back, I thought we might as well support a good cause, and that cause is Bear Cottage. Bear Cottage, just a couple of words, is a charity that is basically a hospice for kids. It's the only one in Sydney, and the government doesn't give much in the way of support, but Westmead Children's Hospital do give them quite a bit of help. So if you're looking for a charity, that's as good as any. That was the first bit. I suppose the next bit really is the bar will remain open. Don't stand on ceremony. We might as well make use of his time, so please use it. And the general manager, of course, will be happy with the takings. If you've got any questions at any time, you can ask or leave them to the end. And if I'm going to cover it later, so be it. I'll just tell you. So the guts of the matter is, I went to Everest. Now, I did a lot of climbing when I was teens and 20s, and then I stopped and did plenty of other things. And a few years back, I thought, look, I wouldn't mind doing some more, so I went to New Zealand, and that led to an invite to go to Peru. And if you're in Peru, you might as well climb in Bolivia as well. And then a friend said, I'd really like to see Everest. I said, well, there's loads of treks, we'll go there. And I thought, well, I might as well go climbing as well. And all these years I've been saying, I'm never going to climb Everest. And I went to the Himalayas the first time, and came back and said, I'm never going back there, I'm never going to climb Everest. And that lasted about a couple of months, so I just can't be trusted, to be honest. And I mentioned it to Jackie, my wife, and she said, oh yeah, okay. And that might be just something that happens in the future. You know, she did say, I thought you were never going to go there, and I said, yeah, but sort of unfinished business. So it was unfinished business, and then we were going to go ski mountaineering in Europe, and Jackie broke her leg in a ski accident, so it just seemed to be the right time, which didn't take me long to contact a guy in the UK who was putting an expedition together. I climbed with him, and it ended up I climbed with another couple out of the group. So 7 of us cleared off, and this will be the story of the trip. I'll assume no one's been to Nepal or the Himalayas, and then hopefully I'll explain everything. But if I don't, you can ask a question. So these are the prayer flags you see everywhere, and of course there are temples. People think of Nepal as being a country which is really just one religion, but actually 80% is Hindu, 20% is Buddhist. I always thought it's mostly Buddhist, but there you go. Hindus in the low areas, Kathmandu area, and the high Himalayas are mostly Buddhist. And it's a great place, Kathmandu. Don't get many of the hippies any longer, but certainly colourful and pungent. And of course, I've got my mates. Jump out of the way of that one. And chaos. You know, this is all the electricity wires, as well as phone wires, as well as any sign they can put on there. So we stayed in Kathmandu, and the first thing you do is you fly up into the mountains. Look at the most dangerous airport in the world, they would tell you. Here we've got big mountains. The other side we've got big mountains, and you land on a landing strip which is sloping upwards to slow you down. And then the boat turns around, the plane turns around, loads up, and away you go again. We haven't got a pointer, so I've got my own here. So, you know, you just turn around and then off you go. It's a fantastic trip. Would thoroughly recommend it. Walking around a place, there's no mechanical transport, so it's just these dirt roads, dirt tracks in here. And so everything is carried, but the quality of the buildings, it was one of these which was being built further along, and they basically just break the rock out of the mountainside, and then the stonemasons start cutting. And the quality of workmanship is quite impressive. I don't want to live there, but quite impressive. And along the track, all the time, we have the money stones, and these are prayer stones. Always travel clockwise around them, because that's the lucky way, the same as the prayer wheels. All got to go clockwise, because if you go the other way, your luck falls out of it. So I always figured I needed as much luck as I could get, so I'll follow. I think everyone spun them around and followed them as best they could. It's sort of the environment you're in is basically steep valleys all the way up the Cumber Valley. You fly in and you're around about 3,000 metres, so already you're quite high. And the first couple of days you're walking down, you get up high and down because you're trying to acclimatise so that you can actually do something rather than walk very slowly. And so the whole process for acclimatisation can take months and months, so we had a programme of 3 weeks. That's okay. Maybe a good point, anyone else wants to switch off that phone? Probably includes me as well. $10 donation. $10 donation? I think that's a great one. It's okay, mine's phone's on. So we decided we'd spend 3 weeks getting acclimatised and 5 weeks of climbing. And so rather than just walking straight up the valley for 5 or 6 days to the base camp, we spent 3 weeks just exploring a lot of the valleys that are much further away. But often very similar sort of things, you know, your steep valley, you can't do much in the water area, so you just follow it along. There's a place up here, there's a small place up there. Each will probably have coffee or tea. And so, you know, for the first few days, you're just ambling along as if you're window shopping. So after 3 weeks, you're getting used to it, and you're getting pretty fit as well. We went in the springtime, the springtime, so we just had winter, so everything's starting to blossom, rhododendron bushes, but it's cold, and it's getting warmer as the expedition goes on.
Sorry, what month was this?
This is April.
April.
Yeah. As the tracks go along, they start crossing over, you get the suspension bridges. Here's a couple of porters fully loaded, and they have an extremely tough life. But we were able to also go on tracks and trails which very few tourists would go on now, and very few locals either. You know, it's just sensational views. And they'd still drive yaks along these tracks. This here in the mountain in the background is called Ama de Blam, and it's the climb I did the previous year, which led me to do this last year. A bit of explanation about Ama de Blam. Its translation is Ama is mother, and de Blam is a jewel box that the Nepalese ladies have around their neck, and it's this bit here. It's clear enough. So that's a huge hanging glacier. And the mother bit is, you know, these are the arms welcoming you. And the climb we did was to come up through here, up into this ridge line, back onto the middle of the face, around the Blam and up to the top. And that was in October and November of 2012.
What height's that?
It's just under 7,000 metres. And what I will do is I'll just give you half a dozen slides just to show you what that climb was all about, because I think we've got time. So first of all, we get to a base camp, and then we start climbing and going to individual camps. So this is the slab going up to Camp 2, and on the top of the ridge line you can see our tents, you know, wherever we managed to get enough room for a tent to be put in. Home sweet home, you know, just if the ledge is big enough, you just chuck a few more rocks on the edge and build up a bit of a wall. But of course the views are great. So that was Camp 1, it's Camp 2, and we move up to Camp 3, which is where we're now starting to have snow and ice. And Camp 2 is a little red tent, which is a sensational spot to be camping. My orange helmet, always have orange helmets, they're good luck, keep the trucks off your back. And then this is the camp looking down on it. And it's got to be one of the most sensational campsites in the world. So one of my favourite photos.
Walk that little ridge line.
We're climbing now. So we're climbing up here. I'll just turn around and took the photo from this sort of area as it gets towards the Camp 3. And then walk up the ridge line. You know, end up walking one side, then the other as the snow allows, to our little tent here for the night. And the night was just blowing a gale across there, and we thought, you know, what's going to happen here? We're not even going to get away in the morning. There's so much wind, but the way the winds work there, you know, come about 9 o'clock, it's gone. No wind at all. And unlike alpine climbing, often in the Himalayas, you can leave late. This is a southern face, so it doesn't get the sun until later, and so to climb on it before the sun's up, it's pretty cold. And Pete and I was climbing with, we're pretty slack and laid out of bed, and these guys are also with our expedition, and they're quite a long way up, but we managed to pass them before we even got to the Dublin area. You turn it on that side, and then it just goes up and up.
How long would it take you to walk to catch up to them from where you took the picture?
Took an hour, and they didn't get any further. They all came back down. One was just, his hands were just freezing, the other one just couldn't breathe any longer, and the other one was had a chest infection and was coughing up blood, so that didn't work that day for those guys, unfortunately. One stayed in the tent for the day and climbed it the following day, so that was a good success story. Happy chap is. Oh, and the other important bit is, this is Everest. So it doesn't stand out because Everest is actually surrounded by other big peaks, or you just can't get close enough to it. And that's Ama Dublin. Beautiful mountain. So going back to the business side of it all, the general